Welcome back, and we're still on Chapter 3, looking at now the layers of the body, the tissues of the body. And previously we've covered the planets and their brief descriptions as given by Parashara. So, the 7 layers, the 7 tissues of the body. The bones are said to be related to the sun. So structure is related to the sun. It gives structure to our body. Structure in general. The bones of anything will be related to the sun. And that can even be like the frame within a building, or the girders within a building. That's the bones of the building. Or the frame of a car. That's the bones of the car. So as we go through this, you can think about this on many different levels, not just within humans, but within anything. If you can break things down into their parts, you can start to realize, okay, this planet rules over that aspect of this thing. The blood is related to the moon, the state of the blood. It's the fluids that circulate through the body carrying nutrients. Marrow is related to Mars, so the tissue within the bones. And interestingly enough, it is the marrow within the body that is a key component in the lymphatic system, which supports the body's immune system. So it makes sense that Mars would have to do with the defense of the body, the protection of the body, of the immune system. Mercury is related to the skin, which covers things. So the coverings of anything is related to Mercury. The covering of your wallet is related to Mercury. The covering of your car is related to Mercury. The skin of a fruit is related to Mercury. Mercury also deals with the senses, the capacity to relate to the world. And if you think about that, the skin is that boundary between the inner you and the outer you. So how well can you relate to the world and relate to others? It'll often be related to Mercury in the skin. Jupiter is related to the fats of the body, the adipose tissue. And Jupiter is our happiness, our joy. That's oftentimes why, I don't think it's true, that's oftentimes why people who are, when you see Buddhas with the big belly and people who are more plump, they're said to be happier. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that's just an interesting, odd coincidence. But I would suppose that if you have a good Jupiter and you're wealthier and you're able to eat richer foods and be lazier because you don't have to do work, then that would make sense. Maybe you are happier, I don't know. And since Jupiter does rule over wealth, this would make sense. Venus is related to sexual fluids and refined essences of the body. So those refined essences of the body, like the DNA and the sexual fluids. Saturn is related to the sinews and the muscles, the coverings, the connective tissue within the body, that thing which allows us to do work, to use our foundation to move things. So Saturn is, again, the worker, we find, or the servant, which the muscles are. Without the muscles, we could not make things happen, at least at this point in time. Where the planets reside. So the sun's abode is the temple, holy places, places connected to divinity, to purity. Temples are pure. The sun is a planet of purity. The stronger the sun, the purer our body possibly might be. Watery places are given to the moon, pools, lakes, baths. Places of fire are given to Mars. So that could be places where fire cooks food, or coal furnaces, or where things are burned, essentially. Places of fire are given to Mars. Sporting grounds are the abode of Mercury, places where there are sports, playfulness, fun. A very mercurial thing. A lot of movement involved there. Treasure houses or banks, things of this nature, are the abodes of Jupiter. The bedroom is given to Venus. And what is the bedroom? Yes, it is a place where people do engage in sexual acts, but it's also a place where you rest, where you recuperate, where you regenerate, where you're comfortable, where you feel protected and safe. So Venus doesn't just relate to sex, it deals with the capacity to rest, to regenerate. It's related to luxury. And I think that makes sense if you follow that train of thought. Filthy places are given to Saturn. Trash heap, things where things are trash heaps, places where things are thrown out. Useless, where useless things go, or things are considered to be useless. These are filthy places which are given to Saturn. Planetary periods. Now, these relate to time. Now, again, this will be helpful for things like prajna astrology when you're asked a question. How long until this might happen? The times related to the planets can be helpful in this regard. So this is something, again, that you might not necessarily care about right now. But as you become a better astrologer, you will want to know these things, because you'll get to prajna astrology or some sort of timing, and the question will come up. And if you don't know this, you won't be able to answer the question. So the planetary periods, verse 33 of chapter 3. The ayana is related to the sun. And what is an ayana? It's a 6-month period between the solstices, between when the sun enters tropical Capricorn until we get to the summer solstice. And then from the summer solstice back to the winter solstice. Those are 6 months in both directions. That's an ayana. A muhurta, which is 48 minutes, is related to the moon. The moon moves very quickly. It's actually the fastest moving planet. A day is related to Mars. A ritu, or R-I-T-U, spelled in English, is 2 months, which is the time it takes for the sun to move through 2 rashis, or 2 signs. And this is for Mercury. So 2 months is related to Mercury. A month is given to Jupiter. And a fortnight, or 2 weeks, is related to Venus. Saturn, the slowest moving planet of them all, is given an entire year. So again, 6 months, that length of time is related to the sun. 48 minutes, a muhurta, is related to the moon. A day is related to Mars. And days are typically, in this situation, counted from one sunrise to the next sunrise. So 1 day and 1 night is a day. Mercury's day, Wednesday, starts at dawn on Wednesday, goes clear through until dawn of Thursday, which is when Thursday starts. So that's a day. Again, a ritu, or 2 months, is related to Mercury. A month is for Jupiter. 2 weeks, or a fortnight, is for Venus. And a year is given to Saturn. And finally, we'll conclude this particular section. We still got a ways to go in this chapter, so there's a lot here, and it's very important for us to know it. The planetary tastes. The pungent taste is related to the sun. The salty taste is related to the moon. Bitter is related to Mars. Mixed tastes are related to Mercury. Sweet is related to Jupiter. Acid taste is for Venus. And astringent is for Saturn. Now, sometimes they say that if you see one of these planets in the person's second house, which deals with food and consumption, that person might prefer that taste more than others. Some people even work with the planets if they need to work with a planet such as Saturn, they include more of an astringent taste within their diet. But again, I think that's more of the realm of Ayurveda and health practitioners, which is related to Vedic astrology and astrology in general. But there is a science around combining food tastes, which I have not seen astrology go into in depth so much in the books I've read so far. All right, so we'll conclude here for now, and we'll be moving on with Chapter 3, still focusing on the planets. The planetary strengths next, planetary friendships, and even, I believe, getting into the upagrahas, or the shadow planets. So be well, and thank you for taking good notes, and we'll be in touch soon.